So you've relapsed and you've made it to this video. First of all, congratulations for that, because I do indeed believe that this video can help you dramatically if you choose to listen to it in its duration instead of clicking away. Please do it. Indeed, watch this video in its duration. I have you guys a large archive of videos here on my channel regarding alcoholism and addiction recovery. So if you're new to this channel and you're not aware of that, please take advantage of that and go into my video archive, into the search bin, and type in alcohol or addiction, or just skim through my videos in general, and you will find that my channel is peppered with various videos on addiction recovery and support and motivation on how to clean up your act, how to get sober, and really reclaim the vitality of your being, your very core. I want to do my best to help invigorate you with inspiration, and I want you to become radiantly healthy. So aside from all that, ladies and gentlemen, if you've relapsed and you've made it this far, congratulations. That's the first step. The very fact that you've made it to this video shows that there's a part of you that wants to change, and you need to really honor that part of yourself and stop ignoring it and stop putting it on the back burner. That part of yourself that wants to stay away from alcohol and drugs or whatever it is that you're addicted to, that is an aspect of your higher self. That is that soft, gentle voice within yourself that will happily lead your life down a path of fulfillment and enjoyment and satisfaction and success. But the more you squander this voice, the more you don't listen to it, the more that you will by default create a cause and effect reaction that will not work in your best higher interest. For instance, ladies and gentlemen, there are many people out there who had great dreams for themselves and aspirations, desires to help the world or create businesses, you name it. And one night they decided to drink too much or use too much or whatever it is, whether it be heroin or, in this case, we'll just stick to alcohol. There have been many people who had vast dreams. They came here to do something with their life, and they drank too much, got into a car, killed someone, killed a family, or killed themselves. Now they're stuck in either a casket for the rest of, not their life, you know what I mean. They're either in a casket and their life has been snuffed out by their illegitimate actions based on ignorance and a lack of responsibility, or they're stuck in a jail cell. Or for many of us, like me, I'm stuck living with the guilt that I carry in my heart for the actions that I did while I was intoxicated, hurting family members, harming people, stealing from people. The list goes on and on and on. I did so much stupid shit when I was intoxicated that I could probably spend the rest of my life making these videos trying to, inspire people not to make the same bad mistakes I did. So I'm considering writing a book, but that's besides the subject. If you're interested in maybe potentially reading a book that I put together on alcoholism and addiction recovery, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. And before we continue, if you like this video, please hit the like button. Please leave comments. If you dislike it, please hit the dislike button. I would love to hear from you guys. And if you think that this video can help someone close to you, a family member, a friend, or just people maybe on your news feed, on your social media, please share this video. The more I can network this video around in my content, the more I could potentially help people. So please, if you feel that this video can benefit your family members or just people on your news feed, please share it on your social media, and that way I can get to more and more people. And thank you for that. Sharing is indeed caring. But relapsing, ladies and gentlemen, realize that many people don't make it through a relapse, especially people who have been away from alcohol for a prolonged period. Their tolerance lowers, but their mental tolerance doesn't lower. And when they go back to drinking after 6 months or a year or 2 years or sometimes multiple years, they drink too much and either kill themselves behind the wheel, or they do something ridiculously stupid that gets them in trouble for the rest of their life. Or many people drink so much that they kill themselves, ladies and gentlemen. Alcohol is no joke. Alcohol is absolutely dangerous. It's one of the most dangerous things and least forgiving things to withdraw from. And you can do significant damage to your liver. So realize that you've been given a second chance. If you're watching this video and you're in good health and you relapsed, realize that many people don't get this second chance. Many people die. Many people, again, do things that they would have never done while they were sober. Now they have to sit in a jail cell for the rest of their lives, potentially thinking about this and going over and reflecting on how their entire life was ruined based on the bad decision making of one evening. And let me tell you, when people kill people behind the wheel, when they're drunk, doing drunk driving and all this insanity, it's not like they planned for it. The whiplash effect that that's going to have on your soul when you sober up and you realize what you've done, that, wow, I drank too much one night, thought I could get behind the wheel, killed people. Now I'm laying in a hospital bed, coming back to my senses because I'm sober, realizing what I've done, hoping that this is a bad dream, but it's not. Imagine that. I don't want to see you make this bad decision and end up in this situation, because let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, everyone that this has happened to, everyone who has got behind the wheel and made this mistake and harmed people and they go to jail, they never planned it. And they have to go through that scenario that I just said, which you're going to hope with every goddamn fiber of your being was a bad dream, but it's not. Your lack of rational thinking when you're drunk can get you in a lot of trouble. And it's not just that I'm trying to motivate people not to drink, because drunk driving and harming people isn't the only reason I don't want you to drink. What about harming yourself? What about taking your life out of its proper trajectory with your will? What I mean by that is we came here to do something with our creativity, ladies and gentlemen. You have the ability to help people. You have the ability to affect the world in a positive way through whatever it is that you're good at, that you came here to share with the world. Do you want to squander that? Do you want to snuff that out with booze, with alcohol, with drugs, with cigarettes, with cannabis? I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen. People ask me all the time what my thoughts on cannabis are. I'm going to make a video about that in the near future. I think that it has potential. I'm not even going to get into it. What I am going to say here, however, is that 99% of the people who use it all the time, use it recreationally and don't treat it with respect. And it's just another vice. Let's be honest with ourselves. I've got some butterfly pea flower tea, and that at the bottom, ladies and gentlemen, is actually sediment from the flowers. This is one of my favorite things to drink. Unfortunately, the lighting doesn't really do the color justice, but it's absolutely beautiful. This is a health tonic. This is what you should be drinking. Not alcohol, not beer, not wine. Unless, if you're one of those, if you're the type of person who can have a few drinks socially, if you're the type of person who can go out and be responsible, all the power to you. I, for instance, am not one of those. When I drink, I have to always have more. Otherwise, I feel uncomfortable. I don't like it. I like drinking massive volumes of liquor. I've tried to be a responsible drinker, but I'm a drunk, and I'm aware of this. So I do best by staying away from it. And chances are, if you've made it this far in this video, chances are, if you're watching this video, you too may have a drinking problem, and you shouldn't try to be a responsible drinker. Chances are, correct me if I'm wrong, if you do have a drinking problem and you're watching this video, you've already tried to be a responsible drinker, but you've been humbled by your drinking problem, because the more you drink and the drunker you get, the more likely it is that you make a bad decision. And most of us, people who have had drinking problems in the past, have made decisions that, while drunk, that just encumber us with guilt. Where was I going with that? I just had a huge brain fart. Excuse me, guys. But, I've tried to be a responsible drinker, but it never worked. Maybe it worked for a couple nights until I realized that, oh my God, I don't like this. I just want to keep drinking. See, I liked the process of opening the can of beer. I liked the noise that it made. I liked the feel of it going down my throat. I loved the pursuit of buying my alcohol, the sound that the seal would make on the flask of vodka or the handle of vodka, the fifth. I liked the way that it made my innards burn. I loved the way that it made me feel like I had no cares in the world. I fell in love with a demon. And alcohol is a demon, in my opinion. If there ever was something that could be considered demonic, alcohol would definitely fit that particular bracket. It kills just countless people every year, ladies and gentlemen. And not only does it kill people who drink alcohol, but oftentimes healthy, sober people that have a lot to offer the world are snuffed out. Their lives are snuffed out because of drunk driving, or people just being psychotic on alcohol and beating people to death or attacking them. This is insane that this substance is even legal. Now, I said in a previous video that I don't think that we should have to make something illegal for us to have responsibility and not drink something. I like to think that we could be responsible humans and be confronted or have the option of buying things like alcohol and simply choose not to do it. Making something illegal doesn't take away the root problem, which is a lack of responsibility. And a lack of responsibility is what made you relapse, ladies and gentlemen. You had a momentary lapse of, your rational thinking became clouded and you gave in to the demon of alcohol. Now, I call it a demon not because I think it's an actual demon, but because it's a negative trait, ladies and gentlemen. And since time, for very long periods of time, us humans are typically attributed certain traits that are evil towards things that we could call demonic. I hope that makes sense. Again, I don't think it did, but it is what it is. I don't have time to go back and make this video over, so it's just going to have to come out raw and uncut. That looks really gross. If you're looking at the bottom of the cup, it looks like there's a bunch of sediment, but that actually is flower sediment. I love drinking flowers. They are uplifting to the consciousness. They provide beneficial nourishment to the body, minerals, you name it, but only the healthy flowers that are edible, because there's this large spectrum of flowers that aren't edible. So don't go out and start consuming flowers randomly. Hibiscus, butterfly pea flower tea, chamomile, blue lily. These are some of my favorite types of flowers. These can help you. Why am I bringing up the drink? Well, because this is the type of stuff that's going to benefit you. When you get a craving to drink, when you develop the power to go, okay, I don't need to drink alcohol, but I'll have some of that chamomile in the fridge. I'll have some of that, whatever tea it is, schizandra, pau d'arco, again, hibiscus, butterfly pea flower. These are the types of things that you can lean on to deal with your cravings. Now, some of you might be laughing or thinking, how the hell could you snuff out a craving for alcohol with tea or something? The craving is just so strong. Well, you're going to have to learn to, because if you don't learn to rely on something else other than yourself when you have a craving for alcohol, if you can't just simply go, okay, I'll have tea instead, then you're not going to succeed long term, and this alcohol demon is going to continue to plague you and harm you. You have to learn to be okay with being sober. That's the only way that you're going to be able to sustain sobriety, is to be okay with being sober. And this is the one thing that so many people struggle with, because so many people have been drinking alcohol for so long that they've actually learned to cope with reality through the lens of being drunk, through the lens of constantly having alcohol in their system. So you bet when you take alcohol out of the picture, it makes that previously numbed state of consciousness very vivid, and everything's burning brighter, and you can feel your emotions much deeper. You can feel everything from happiness to joy to guilt and depression 10,000-fold or 10,000 times more vividly. Alcohol, when you drink it, numbs everything. Not always, for instance, because some people when they drink, they become very depressed. Some people when they drink become very happy. For me personally, it was different every time I did it. There was a 50-50 chance of me either turning into the world's biggest asshole or me turning into the world's biggest love bug. And when I say asshole, I mean violent, insane individual, highly dangerous individual to myself and other people. Or I could be the world's nicest person. I was the perfect poster child example of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So if you've relapsed, ladies and gentlemen, realize that you've been given the gift of a second chance, and that you should not squander that. Because squandering the second chance that you've been given, if you're watching this video, chances are you're in good health and you didn't make some horrible decision that's going to get you in trouble for the rest of your life. So take advantage of the fact that you made it through something that many people won't get through, and do something creative with it. Let it be fuel for the fire of you becoming a greater human. Because let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, when you drink alcohol, when you give in to addiction, when you don't listen to your higher self, when you don't listen to that soft inner voice that's trying to constantly, through your emotions and intuition, guide you down a path of turning around, walking the opposite direction of you being an absolute drunk or a mess, when you don't listen to your intuition, when you don't listen to that, again, that angelic voice that's constantly there, if you silence your mind long enough, then you will be humbled. And it will not be pretty. It's never pretty, regardless of the severity of the mistakes that you make when you drink or when you give into addiction. It doesn't matter. I mean, regardless of the severity. I hope that makes sense. What I'm trying to say is that regardless of whether you make a decision that ruins your life forever, or whether you make a decision that only affects a couple of people or just minimally affects yourself, it is still not good to not listen to that soft inner voice, because it's all a byproduct of you not aligning with your true self, which is that part of yourself that wants to truly be healthy. When you make decisions here in the Matrix that don't benefit you, when you make decisions based on addiction and alcoholism and squandering that soft voice, not to keep saying it, you are stimulating self-damage that not only affects you, but it affects everyone. There's a domino effect with alcoholism, with drug addiction, ladies and gentlemen, with anything that creates self-harm. It not only affects you, but it affects the entire collective consciousness, but it affects your loved ones, your girlfriend, your animals, your pets, you name it. So relapsing oftentimes leads to profound feelings of guilt, especially for people who have been sober for a prolonged period. So imagine you decided to get sober and you went 3 years without drinking, and then one day you decided to drink and you'd made some bad decision, or you maybe just drank and fell asleep. Nothing really truly bad happened, but you woke up feeling guilty because you ruined the momentum of your sobriety. Now, I'm not here to be Debbie Downer. I'm not here to try to make you feel bad because you relapsed. I've relapsed. But one thing that I've done that's so much different than many people who do relapse is that I used it as fuel to get back on my feet. Now, this is not an excuse to just constantly, I can just use every time I relapse, I can just get back on my feet and I'll be fine. No. Because as I said earlier, the more you fuck around and the more you drink when you're a drunk and you've been sober or whatnot, the more you drink in general, the higher the likelihood is that you're going to harm yourself, you're going to harm other people, you're going to destroy your health, kill yourself, destroy your liver, you name it. This is not something to joke around with. This is not something to play around with. Alcohol is one of the most disgusting, dishonorable, low-vibe, demonic substances on this planet currently, and there's a reason why it's legal. It's because it breaks people's will and it destroys entire civilizations. This is part of the control agenda here, ladies and gentlemen, and you're actively participating in it and throwing your money at it and killing yourself. You're paying to kill yourself. It's time to wake up. I believe in you. I want to see you thrive. I don't want to see you make the same bad decisions that I made and so many other people made. If I can effectively get just one person to go the opposite direction and regain the vitality of their youth, to regain their vigor, to regain their health, then that really fills my cup up from the inside out. It makes me feel good. I make these videos because I want to help. I truly and genuinely believe that sobriety is the path of true health. If you don't believe that sobriety is the path of true health, then now when I'm talking about sobriety in this, in this case, I'm referring to alcohol. I don't think that there's anything wrong with an occasional cigar as long as it's quality tobacco. I don't think that, there's a time and a place, folks. But here's the thing. If you have an alcohol problem, the time and the place, that enough's enough. You can't keep telling yourself that, I can be a casual drinker. I'll only have alcohol once a week or once a month. That is just that's what we call, that's what I like to call, what's the word I'm looking for? Excuse me. Making deals with the devil. most of the time, instead of people actually quitting their a substance, attachment to a substance, they try to make deals around it, where they go, oh, I'll just drink once a week, or I'll just drink it, between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. or this and that. The more you make excuses for your addiction, the more you just make it worse, because you're solidifying the fact that you have to have it so much, you think you do at least, that you're willing to micromanage all this shit just so you can have your drink. Oh, it's Saturday's coming up. I can't wait for Saturday. I can have my drink. And suddenly you're not even aware of the fact that you're living just for the bottle, because you can't wait for Saturday to come around. I used to do that. There was a period when I was trying to get sober there was a period when I first started drinking, and I realized that I was becoming an alcoholic, that I tried to only drink on weekends. And that was the longest week of my life, because I was living for the weekend, because I loved alcohol that much. When I got sober, it took me a while to get my bearings back, but when I was able to sustain sobriety, I realized that life was so much more enjoyable without alcohol. Life was so much more vivid. It was so much more beautiful. And I actually taught myself how to generate my own feel-good feelings. I didn't need to rely on substances to uplift myself or to deal with, social situations. Every time you cave into the idea that you need to numb yourself with a substance to deal with something, you just solidify the fact that you are too weak to deal with it on your own, and it actually breaks your will. It makes you a weaker human, whether you like that or not. Because when you actually believe that you have to numb yourself with a substance to deal with, for instance, maybe going out and meeting people or this and that, you are telling yourself that you don't believe in yourself. You're not saying it to yourself directly, but through it's symbolic. And we all know that the language of the subconscious is symbolism. And when you start subconsciously believing and symbolically solidifying that belief that you're not good enough without a substance, then you actually really start to control your mind, or take over your mind in a very negative way, because you're feeding your subconscious bad information. I shouldn't have brought that up. I don't want to talk about the subconscious mind in this video. I want to stay on point, but it's relative to some degree. If you relapsed, take advantage. I'm not here to coddle you. I'm not going to say that it's just all about getting back up off your feet and dusting yourself off and give yourself a pat on the back. No, you need to feel you need to feel some guilt. You need to use that guilt to your advantage, though. This is alchemy. You need to transmute that. Transmute your bad decision into something great by building something great from the ashes of the guilt, if that makes sense. You made a bad decision. You have two directions to go. You could either continue going down that path that you've now opened up the door to, because you took your momentum and basically shit on it. Excuse my language. Or you could realize that, okay, that was a mistake. I need to get back on track because I favor my life and I want to do something good with my time here in this world. Because the more you fuck around, ladies and gentlemen, the more time you waste with addiction, the more time you lose. And before you know it, you're 30, 40, 50 years old, and you look back at your life and you realize that you drank it away. You smoked your life away. You used drugs and were in basically a coma, and you woke up suddenly and wow, I'm 50 years old. I'm 60 years old. I'm 65 years old, and I spent the majority of my life high or drunk. Talk about a midlife crisis. This camera makes me look pale like a ghost. Talk about a midlife crisis. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that when you're young or when you're younger, when you're, in your 20s or in your mid-30s, 40s, you don't really know what it feels like to harbor guilt because you haven't reached that point where you look back at your life and reflect. Midlife is when this usually happens. And if you've built something, if you've done something meaningful to your heart, meaningful in your life, you usually look back and you reflect, and it makes you feel good. You did something beneficial with your time. You're reaping what you've sown. But if you, look back at 50, at a lifetime of drinking and self-abuse and destroying your health, You're going to feel like shit. And it's going to make you feel depressed. And depression is one of the leading factors as to why people even abuse drugs, because they want to escape the feeling of feeling like shit all the time. Chances are you feel like shit because of the way you eat and illegitimate mental programming from youth. You need to learn to reprogram your mind, and the only way you're going to legitimately be able to do that is if you get sober. Because if you're not sober, it means that you're running away from sobriety. And if you're running away from sobriety, it means you're not listening to that soft voice that I like to talk about on this channel, your higher self. You have an internal compass that speaks to you through emotions, intuition, and insights, and dreams. Learn to listen to it, ladies and gentlemen. And basically, this is how the inner voice works. Anytime you have a decision at hand to either do something bad, or anytime how would I explain this? The inner compass works like this. It's the exact opposite of what your lower self wants to do. Your lower self always wants to take the easy way out. Your lower self always wants to appease instant gratification. Your lower self is the part of yourself that hasn't cultivated responsibility. And that part of yourself is what gets you into trouble, because you identify with it, because it makes life easier. And the more you listen to that part of yourself, the part of yourself that's disconnected to your higher thinking, the more you resonate on that level. And now you're just a basic individual, just like everyone else. I don't want to see you become a basic individual. I want to see you become an angel. I want to see you become an intelligent human being that can walk through this underworld, this culture of death, with life moving through your veins. Enlighten yourself. That's how you're going to feel better. You're going to feel better if you learn to create your own intoxication. Through deep breathing and yoga and happiness and exercise and stretching and eating right, drinking proper fluids, hydrating yourself. Learn to retrain yourself so that you can feel good without all the bullshit. Anyways, you guys, I want to wrap this one up. I was going to go longer, but I just haven't been sleeping very well lately, ladies and gentlemen. And the words just aren't coming out the way I want them to. So I'm going to wrap this one up. I want to finish up by saying that I appreciate all of the views. I appreciate all of the all the people who comment and hit the like button. But I also wanted to throw it out there that if you wanted to donate to my channel, I have options in the description box below this video, above the comments, where there's various links where you can donate to my channel. Every penny helps. If you want to help put some food on my table and keep my lights on, there are options below. Donations of all size help, and they are greatly, greatly appreciated. It helps me afford more time to make these videos. It helps, again, with groceries and just the expenses of life. So I love you all. Thank you for watching this video. Again, press the like button if you like this video, and please network my content around. But remember that if you're watching this video and you've relapsed, you've been given a second chance. But just remember that this may be your last second chance. The more you squander the gift of the second chance, the closer you get to making a decision potentially that is non-alterable. I don't want to see you wind up in jail for the rest of your life because you drank too much and did something that you can never take back. Learn to say no to booze. It's a demonic substance. Learn to deal with life. Learn to deal with yourself and with life, or whatever has happened in your life. You've got to learn how to deal with it sober, ladies and gentlemen. Otherwise, you'll continue to run away from dealing with it sober. And the only way to actually transmute an internal problem or an issue is through the lens of sobriety. Otherwise, you're going to be making decisions based on how the substance you're using and ingesting is intoxicating you. And when you make decisions based on intoxication, it really leads to nothing good. So I'm going to wrap this one up. Peace be with you all.